negotiation where you you are the UN Security Council, and you have to vote/debate/ talk about resolutions that we give you about world issues that are, for the most part, world issues that are real. And you represent your country, you represent your country's like ideals and thoughts, I guess. You compete against other people. It is competitive, but it's really fun.
What is the debate structure?
Okay, you have your two chambers. You have the negotiation chamber and you have the main one. Yeah, okay, cool. Okay, so in the negotiation chamber, you discuss with your fellow delegates on things you would like to pass, things you'd like to change regarding your resolution as a whole. Basically just time for you to get like the feel of what's going on, how everyone else is feeling about the resolution, and like what amendments you would like to make and change. And then in the main chamber, you debate on this. You get to speak in a much more formal matter, so the negotiation is very informal and the main one's very formal. Normally you have one partner go in the main, one in the negotiation chamber. That's the best way to do this because then you get the whole picture of what's going on, and judges really like it when you do that, so I recommend doing that. In the main one, you debate for or against a resolution or an amendment. You discuss with your delegates in that chamber what you want to see happen, and you try and convince them that your way is right.
What's like an example resolution?
Okay, the first one that came to mind was one I did last year. It was the question of Taiwan. So we debated whether Taiwan should become its own separate country and whether it really was under the rule of China or not. That's a very real problem that's facing Taiwan at the moment. I was actually China in that round, so it was quite stressful for me, but it was very fun. You will know your prepared resolutions in advance. So for the prelim rounds, we are doing one prepared, one impromptu. So you will get one resolution when I email you your country allocations. You'll be able to read through it all, research as much as you want. With the impromptu one, you will get just given like a little fact sheet about the problem, and you will go off there, but everyone's in the same boat. So don't stress that someone else is going to know more than you, because 9 times out of 10 doesn't happen. What you have in your hand is what we call a resolution. It is normally double-sided document. Sometimes it's got 3 pages if you're really feeling fancy. On the front of the, it's with the UN Security Council logo on it. It has the question that you'll be debating. It's always like the question of, that's how it's always written. It just means like the problem at hand. So this one's the question of enclosures. And there's like some very like fancy preamble. It's useful to read the preamble, like don't skip it, but it's just like to kind of give you like a rough background as to what's going on, how the UN feels about this issue. You can't change the preamble. I've seen a lot of people trying to change the preamble. You can't do that. But then the actual important bit is the other side. This is your resolution. It is a series of clauses that have a action word at the beginning of them. So it like requires, encourages, declares. So these are your clauses, and they tell you what you wish to change in this resolution. So if you want to make something like legally binding, you make it a clause. If you want to like put some sanctions on someone, you make it a clause.
What is a clause?
Okay, a clause is your action, what you wish, how you break down the problem into further little bits. Because it's all well and good to say the question of enclosures, but what are you going to do about the enclosures? The first clause of this one requires that all birds call, chirp, sing, chatter, and otherwise make noise in unison at dawn, dusk, midday, and closing time. That is what you wish to see happen as a result of this resolution. It's the actions that the UN will take because you have put this into, like, essentially a law. Yeah, so that's what a clause is. You change a clause by writing an amendment. You have to get signatures for your amendments. What you do in the negotiation chamber is your time to shine with your amendments. You get other people's support for your amendments. You can change your amendment a bit if people are really convincing and tell you to change it. You can either reword clauses, you can strike clauses, you can write a whole new clause if you so wish. You can do a lot of things. You just have to write which action you're wishing to take. You write it up, let other delegates read it, mostly in the negotiation chamber, and they will decide whether they like the sound of that and they were going to vote in favour of it or like debate in favour of it, or they hate it with a burning fury and they're going to go debate against you because they really don't want you to pass this into the resolution. As long as you have enough signatures, you can bring it up for debate, where you will speak for it, obviously, because you're the person bringing it up, and other people can speak against it or for it, and then you'll go to a vote where you vote to make that amendment a clause in the final resolution. Your little bit will be in there, what you want to see as your country from this problem. The speaking list is the list that you will have to put yourself on in order to speak in the main chamber. It's a bit more formal. You've got to like actually say, oh, I want to speak for, against this amendment. So just pass a little note to the chair, be like, please put me on the speaker list. If you're doing that, say which side of the speakers list, because sometimes people just like, put me on the speaker list, and you're like, which side? You just write on a little note, and they'll go up, and you'll be put on a speakers list in order to speak for or against the amendment. Once you are finished debating an amendment, sometimes you won't debate an amendment, just it's at the chair's discretion whether you do or not, depending on time. Once you've finished debating, the chair will ask for a vote, and you will raise your placard, because you get a little placard, if you are for, against, or abstaining, with a majority of yeses or nos, depends on the outcome of the vote. There is only really one thing you get judged on at Evatt, and it is effectiveness. It's how effectively you can pass an amendment, a resolution, how effectively you can negotiate with everyone else. Now, it's a bit of a wishy-washy thing to be judged on. I mean, like, it's not very concrete. What it basically means is how well you can convince other people to do what you want. If you're doing a resolution on, like, an African country and you are, like, Norway, you don't have much relevance there, and the judges will take that into account. It's kind of, like, adjusted for who you are and how difficult it's going to be for you to kind of make a difference in this scenario. The way you get judged, essentially, is we have a team of judges. We have a head judge and then a bunch of other little judges. They'll be in the negotiation chamber, they'll be in the main chamber. They're more like the people who are going to be standing behind you with a little notebook, like taking notes. Don't mind them. They're just there to kind of like see what you're doing. You just have to kind of take a moment. You be very organized as well, and know your partner. Like, choose your partner wisely. I have the best partner in the world. God bless my partner. We work together as a great team, and that's basically what you're getting judged on, is how well you work together as a team, how well you can negotiate. It really depends on who your partner is, because if they are they organized, they can they pay attention to what's going on, they know roughly everything that's happening. You've just got to trust your partner to do what they can do, and you trust yourself to do what you can do, and try not to get stressed out, because that's literally the last thing we want. We do not want you stressed, but it does happen. It does that's why we have like the workshop and everything to kind of like guide you through everything. Be very gentle.
This sounds really chaotic.
That's all right, because before every single prelim round, we have a workshop where we will go through this very much in depth about how to do Evatt, how to debate in Evatt, what's like the formalities of Evatt, how everything's going to run. So do not worry, we have you taken care of.